Hello, 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 everybody. I bet you didn't think I was going to come on live today, but I am. And for those of you people who don't know me, and if you're just catching that I am live, which I am. So this is actually for my YouTube channel. So I'm doing two cameras at this time. So bear with me because I'm going to be going back and forth. I decided to do my Facebook on top of it. But I am actually talking today for Get Balanced 2020, and I'm talking about nutrition. Well, April, we're having a series on nutrition, and basically we're getting back to the roots of nutrition, why we eat, how we eat, sort of the 5 W's. So that's what I'm going to be doing for the month of April, and this is actually week 3. So if you haven't seen the other videos, I would like you to go on to my YouTube channel, or it's much easier if you go to my website. There's a YouTube tab at the top, and you can go ahead and click on the YouTube tab, and you can see all the videos there because it will shoot you right over to my YouTube channel. So you just go to the getbalance2020.com, go to the top and hit the YouTube channel. There's also there a brand new, I redid my Facebook or my homepage, and so it will give you a little description of what Get Balanced 2020 is all about. Mainly, I teach about how to transform your mind, your body, and your spirit to actually a more positive, healthy lifestyle. And we want to do that in order for us to live a long, healthy life. So last couple of weeks, we've actually been talking about the basics, the 5 W's of nutrition. And right now we're getting to the actual root of where we started our nutrition, why we did that and everything. So tonight we're going to sort of get to the trunk of the tree. And what we want to do with that, we want to teach some basic nutrition. And that basic nutrition is just going to be for the general public. It's not for any specific exercise group, weight loss, weight gain, or anything like that. It's just sort of educate you, getting back to the basics of how to start eating more healthy and more towards your goals and for your success. Because a lot of the times we don't even know why we're eating what we're eating. And that's what we've been talking about these last 2 weeks, is why we're eating, what we're eating, when we're eating it, sometimes even who we're eating it with, and those kind of things. So we're going to continue with that. And I'm just going to go through a couple of the things that we studied this last couple of weeks. So if it's your first time, then you sort of get an idea of what we're talking about. And if you want to go back, you can go back, but you should be able to pick some things up from this point forward. So like the last couple of weeks, what we talked about, how foods can sort of affect our moods and affect who we are and where that basis comes from. We talked about eating clean. Now, eating clean is basically eating straight from the source. So if it's a plant, it's from the plant. Say you steam a vegetable or that kind of thing, or the meat, straight from the meat. Milk and dairy, things like that, they're not straight, but that's actually pretty close. And how to stay away from the center of the aisles of the grocery stores. We talked about grocery store shopping and how actually the stores are set up for you. So we went through that. And then we also went through meal timing and how many meals you should eat a day. A lot of people think that there should be 3. Some people say, well, I only eat 1. Well, it's actually better for your metabolism to eat more meals, small, like snack meals a day. So 4 to 6 meals a day, depending on your body. We talked about what your body might need, how you might need it. And so basically, I'm going to say hi every now and then. So if you're just tuning in, we're talking about nutrition tonight. So basically, so we want to know how many times we're eating and why we're eating that many times. If you're out in the day, sometimes you just don't have a chance to eat, but maybe you're really, really active. So you're burning that fuel, and that's for the fitness portion. But that's why we want to learn about that. We also started to get into, if we're older, what kind of eating patterns we have, because our eating patterns do change as we get older, and the things that we need sometimes are a little bit different. We don't need as much as we get older because our metabolism is slowing down. We sort of started talking about that. So we're going to continue with that. And tonight, what I want to do is, okay, so we were talking about the roots of our nutrition. So we do need to get back to the basics of why we're eating what we're eating. We also talked last week a lot about emotional eating. And are we eating because we're stressed out, we're depressed, we're frustrated, or are we actually eating for fuel? So when I was bodybuilding, my trainer, he'd always say, well, he'd eat the same things all week long. He'd eat baked chicken breast, broccoli all week long. I mean, he'd cook for a whole week, those things. Baked chicken with salsa and broccoli, steamed broccoli. And I'm like, don't you get bored of that? Don't you, He goes, I don't eat to enjoy food. I eat it as fuel and what my body needs. Now, on the other end, and if you look at like The Rock and all the people that bodybuild like we used to, we'd have one cheat day where we would just go all out and eat whatever we wanted to eat, drink whatever we wanted to drink, and then we'd get back on our regimen the next day. So one day a week, we ate whatever we wanted. So a lot of that time is what we're doing is just giving our body the fuel it needs to do the job that it needs to do. Now, if we increased our exercise, we needed more fuel. If we decreased our exercise, we didn't need as much. But majority of the time when I started training people and when I started bodybuilding, I found out myself that a lot of the times I eat out of emotion. And a lot of people that have been through abuse or trauma or anything of that nature, they will eat out of emotion because it's sort of a self-medicate. Some people will drink, some people will have other addictions, and most people that overeat, there's something that they're stuffing. Now that's for the mind. If you haven't looked at the mind, because we have mind, body, and spirit, the 3 videos for the month. And so basically you need to go to the mind and see why some of those things we think and the way that we do those things. And I think we're on part 3 of that as well. So of the 4-week series. So go back and look at that because this all goes together. Your mind, your spirit, and your body all work together. And if you miss one, then you're eliminating, so you can't be balanced. So the nutrition goes with the mind, and the mind goes with the nutrition, and the nutrition goes with the fitness, and the fitness goes with the spirit, and on and on and on. So we have to realize what we're eating, why we're eating, and when we're eating it. So, and are we eating it appropriately? So let's go into I brought some visual aids today because I think visual aids are really, really important, and it gives you an idea of, oh, maybe I'm not doing that quite right kind of thing. So I've got notes tonight because I've been super busy and I haven't been able to check them. So what we want to discuss is when you're eating, okay, so we're going to do the what. What are we eating? So we want to concentrate on eating just enough protein that'll cover our hand size. And basically, if you're a guy, your hand's going to be bigger. Some women are smaller. Well, that's really sort of just a visual aid to basically tell you how much protein you should eat. Now, how much protein, like every meal? No, not necessarily. I eat protein twice in a day, but I also add in a protein shake, just depending on if I'm exercising or not. So the idea is you want to eat 1/3 of your plate of protein, and then we're going to add the rest in veggies, and we might add just a small little dab of complex carbohydrates like a potato, some rice, something like that. We want to keep the complex carbohydrates down. So let me show you something. So when we start eating, what we're eating is really important, but how we're eating it is even more important. So when I started training, basically I would eat off of our normal American plate. Look at the size of our American plates. These are huge. I lived in Japan for years and there was never a plate. This is like a serving tray for their foods over there. And the thing is that it's way too big. It is even way too big for us. And what do? When we go to a restaurant, they're full. When we serve them on our tables, they're full. And then what do we do again? We load them up a second time. And especially if it's Thanksgiving, woohoo, maybe 3 or 4 times. But the thing is, what I want you to see is that this is too big. You need to get rid of your big plates. I don't know, use them for a saucer. I don't know, but they're way too big. Even for a man, if you want to do, what do you call it, doubles or second servings, then you can do that on a smaller plate because really this is too big. So what I do with my clients is I show them, this is a little bit bigger than a normal salad plate. A salad plate's usually a little bit smaller than this. So what we want to do is downsize our plates. Why are we doing that? Because for most women, you're eating about 1,500 calories, maybe 1,800, and then it depends. I'm talking about normal, not working out, that kind of thing. 1,500 calories. If you get below 1,200, then you're starting to starve your body and you can't lose weight if you're trying to lose weight. And that's the problem. So we want to downsize the plate. That's number one. This is basics. This is we're getting to the roots of how we're supposed to be doing things. And we're also teaching our children, if they eat off these plates, then we're actually making them fat. And America is the fattest nation I've ever lived in and seen and been around the world. It's fat. And don't come to me about fat. I look at fat completely different than anybody else. That's a good thing. But obese or overly fat where it causes health conditions, then we've got to start looking at how to trim that down. Or if there's biological reasons, then we need to look at other alternatives. But I'm talking about, 25, get this, 25% over the standard that you see if you Google it, what is my standard weight for my age kind of thing. If you're over 25%, you're considered obese. Literally, that's obese on a medical term. So the thing is, though, so we want to get back to this. So we're going to downsize our plates to a salad plate. Okay, so when we get that salad plate, we're going to, maybe everything's on the table. If you eat family style, if you're single, maybe you're going to dish it up on the stove or whatever. So what you're going to want to do is put that palm size of protein. Fish is really good. It's meat, which I mean by beef. Try to stay away only maybe 2 times a week. 1 time is even better. Beef has such saturated fat, and it's really not good for our heart. It's not good for our blood. But boy, it sure tastes good, especially on the barbecue. I just had filet mignon the other night for Easter. Oh, that was so good. Anyway, so we're going to put a small piece of meat here, whatever kind of meat you choose to eat. And then what we're going to do is we're going to fill up most of that. So you think of the plate in thirds. Okay, so a third of that is going to be meat. And you're going to fill almost that other 2/3 with green veggies or a vegetable. I'm going to tell you right now, though, broccoli, and the reason why my trainer used to eat broccoli is because it is the most nutrient-dense, vitamin-filled vegetable there is out there. So if you really need all those vitamins, and steam it just for a few seconds because all that water that's full. You can also make broccoli soup out of the water, which is really good because that's what happens. The nutrients go down there. But the thing is that you want to be able to keep it as crisp as you can because it holds the nutrients. And I'm not a microwave person. I don't like microwaves at all because it overcooks our food and it's not healthy for us anyway. So you're going to fill that, and then you're going to fill it almost all full with vegetables, and then you're going to take your potatoes and rice, or maybe you don't even want that, which would be even better, is that then you're going to fill the rest up with that. And that's what you're going to eat. Now you're going to say, well, how do I know how much that is? Doesn't matter. As long as you're keeping your plate size down and limiting your protein portion, because you want to have protein and mostly greens. We want to eat more green dense food. But the thing is, like I said, with potatoes, rice, pastas are processed. That's not eating clean. If you're going to eat potatoes, brown rice. Brown rice is good. I don't like it, but I eat it. You can have like couscous, you can have quinoa, you can have all those kind of things. Fill that up. But the problem is that it turns to sugar. So any complex carbohydrate turns to sugar. What does sugar do? Sugar adds calories. Sugar changes our insulin levels and all these it affects our insulin levels and all that kind of stuff. It also makes us fat. Plus sugar also, some diseases actually feed off of sugar. So we want to stay away from sugars as much as you can. So you say, well, how about for breakfast? Well, breakfast you could do the same thing if you want some eggs. If it people here in the United States are funny because as we grow up, as we talk about in the mind, we do what our ancestors did, we do what our parents did, we do everything that we were taught as a kid, but we don't realize, hey, I don't have to have eggs and bacon and whatever. I could have some soup, I could have some pizza, I could have, whatever for breakfast. So we get in this mold, and it's just got to change because there's so much more out there. I eat a lot of Japanese food, so that's why I say soup in the morning, soup and rice. They eat the same thing every meal. They don't really have breakfast. They do because of the Western world, but they actually eat most everything the same. So if then you're going to say, well, what about fruit? Can I put fruit on my plate? Well, you might want to limit your fruit only because fruit is, again, sugar. So if you have to go to a fruit and you really like melons, which I don't, but cantaloupe is the most nutrient dense fruit that you can find. And if you need a lot of good vitamins, cantaloupe is the best. So, and that's the orange one, not the green one. That's melon. So cantaloupe is orange. So we want to be mindful what we're putting on our plate. And now, a lot of the times we look at our good times when we go to the what, where, when, hows. What are good times to eat? What are, how should I eat? When I should eat? So let's talk about meals. Okay, so this would be considered a big meal because you're going to sit down and sort of fill the plate. Okay, so you probably want to do that 2 to 3 times a day, but you want to do that earlier in the day. So I usually eat one big meal in a day, but I graze the rest of the day. And I eat my big meal at lunchtime. Because if I'm going to work out or if I'm just active, then I can burn the fuel that I'm putting into my body. If I try to eat the plate at nighttime, then what am I doing? I'm sitting down. I don't need to utilize the fuel. And so where does the fuel go? Fuel goes right to here. So we don't want to do that. So unless you're going to work out, hey, that's really good. And there's times to work out, wait to eat, and all that kind of stuff before workout. But we're talking about general. Women tend to do better if they eat within the first hour as they get up. Now, it could be, I don't eat, again, we're talking about complex carbohydrates. I don't eat oatmeal. I don't eat, I used to eat oatmeal and cream of wheat and all that kind of stuff. I'll eat it occasionally, but those, again, are complex carbohydrates. I gain weight just by sniffing food. That's my metabolism. That's the way it is. But it takes me forever to burn it off because I have a slow metabolism. So women, if you have a protein shake in the morning, I take a protein shake and I put some chia seeds in there for some good fiber to keep things moving. I do my protein shake. I'll do a little MCT oil, and then that's it. And I'm good to go for the next couple of hours. Again, the mindset of doing nutrition for food, if you can do it for 6 days a week, you will have big gains because you just need enough fuel to get to the next 2 hours. That's all you need. If you can train your brain, I'm good for the next 2 hours. And then maybe the next couple of hours, you're going to have some nuts, or you could do some grapes, you could do some carrots, you could do whatever. I mean, it's morning. Who cares? Whatever you eat, whatever you want to eat. Apples, like I had said before, they're a good filler, but they are not good with vitamins and nutrients. They're just sort of a filler kind of thing. So then when you go to lunch, maybe you'll have a salad, maybe you'll have a sandwich, maybe you'll have a wrap. But remember, this isn't to gorge yourself and keep you full till dinner time. You just need something for the next couple of hours. That's the basics. So 4 times a week or 4 times a day, and try to figure out what you want to eat in those 4 times. And you do have to plan ahead. This is basic nutrition. You do have to plan. You need to get to the roots of how to really eat healthy to keep your metabolism stable. So what happens is, you say, well, I don't want to eat that much. Well, what happens is, say, I don't eat until 11 o'clock, but I'm up at 7. Well, your blood sugars begin to drop, 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 drop. And then at 11, they go boom, because you just put all this food in your body, and then you're basically spiking your sugar levels and everything like that. So what you want to do is keep your sugar levels basically at a flat line kind of thing, so then you can burn fuel more efficiently. Okay, so you also have to, we have to look at, I'm looking at here, times of the day. And the times of the day is 4 times, whatever works for you. Maybe you're work at night. Maybe you work graveyard. Maybe you have to figure out what works best in time for you. Another thing about eating, if we're sitting, a couple of things. These are all basic. A lot of people, I used to work in the restaurant industry for years. And I would get in the super bad habit of eating while I was standing up and eating in between. I didn't even get breaks because I was managing. So I didn't really get breaks. So I would eat a few bites and then I would go. And I would shove them and eat them fast and then go and eat them fast. Well, it created a habit of eating fast. And that's not really a healthy way to eating. So when you sit down, you should be sitting down to eat. It should be a relaxing time. It should be something that you enjoy and that you're able to do at a slower pace. So even when I go to work, I take a plate. It's all about your ambiance and how you're eating. If you're eating from a fast food container all the time, you're just, it's the ambiance and everything. It's all about your psyche. It's all about what you're eating and how you're eating it. But I'll take a plate or a bowl because I don't want to eat like I'm eating fast all the time. Slow it down. Take your bite slow. If you're used to eating cereal with one of the big tablespoons, break it down to a little teaspoon. Eating slower, finding ways that it's going to help you to eat slower. That's really, really key and really important to just slow it down. I also want to talk about two more things before we call it a day on nutrition, because I just want to keep basics. There's actually a lot of stuff in there. I didn't realize I was throwing so much stuff out. But when we're talking about plate sizes, we talked about shrinking them down. What about our glass sizes? I see so many people supersizing it or carry water jugs. Drink them all as much as you want. You want water, you get yourself. I train my clients to actually drink up to a gallon of water a day. This is how much water your body should be taking in a day. And you're like, well, I'd be peeing all the time. The point is, if you can't do a gallon, do a half a gallon. At least do a half a gallon. Because the thing is, water does 21 things in your body. So what you need to do is get back to the basics. Number one thing, water, 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 water. Not only can it fill you up if you're a little hungry, but it also lubricates our joints, helps our temperature or our thermostat in our body. It actually helps lubricate our organs and our gut a lot. We need to be drinking that water. If you have arthritis like I do, helps with the joint, and again, in between the joints, keeping things lubricated, keeping things moving. So I really push for my clients to drink water, 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 water. And it doesn't matter if you like, well, I can't buy bottled water and I don't like tap water. Then what you would do is take your tap water, boil it, let it cool, and put it in a plastic jug. That's actually 10 times better than actually you buying water, because the pH balances are so off on those things, they'll actually leave you thirsty. Those are actually not as good as tap water. I know that people are like, well, they put bleach, they put cyanide, they put all this stuff in water. They do, but boil it and get that out. I mean, in the city we live in, you can really smell the bleach in our water. So I actually do have water, but I make sure that it is distilled water and not completely without minerals. We do need those minerals. So water, water, water. Now, when it comes to other things like Pops, which is full of sugar, not good. Plus, it's also got carbonation in it, which helps break down bone into a little bit, osteoporosis. It helps invite osteoporosis, which you don't want. But we also want to talk about the size of water, of our glasses. So this glass here, a glass of tea, and I did this because if you look at the size of the glass, it's really not that big. It's round. But do you know how much water or do you know how much tea this is? This is actually what you should be drinking for a normal drink. So this is 8 ounces. Now, remember the old days where they used to talk about, drink 8-ounce glasses of water? That's this, people. It's not that much. So if you were to take 8 of these and put them in here, you would probably get up to this first week line. Whoops, sorry about that. First week line. So when you're drinking 8 ounces of pop, coffee, tea, booze is totally different. Actually, boy, I'm aging myself if I'm calling it booze. Anyway, that's what we're talking about. It's not that much. I could probably drink that in 3 gulps, 4 gulps. So it's really important to understand that when you go to supersizing it and all these calories and sugar and all that stuff that you're putting in there, really watch what you're drinking and your plate size. So for those of you that just came on, we're talking about lowering our plate sizes down to a salad plate because that's about the only size that we really need as far as our food, and you'll want to go back and look at the rest of the video. But we're also talking about that and how much water that we're actually needing to drink. We're getting to the basics of what we need to be doing for nutrition. And we're actually getting to the roots. And that's how we go back to the basics, get to the roots. This is how we start. Now, people with food, when we come to food, basically a lot of people do not like to look at the labels, which I train my clients to do, because it takes about 2 weeks. And then you don't really need to, because you eat about 16 foods in the same week. You eat 16 foods, same foods all week. So this is just the average of how many different foods that you actually eat. So it doesn't take long to either weigh your foods and get a visual, or go ahead and do the scales to get a visual to see. That's all I train my clients to do because it's really, really important to just get a visual. As human beings, we're visual. We learn by visual. A lot of people learn by visual. Some people like the logical part, so they want to look at it and they want to see it weighs an ounce. They want to see it weighs a pound or whatever it is. But visuals are really important. Goodwill has all kinds of cheap scales for a couple dollars if you don't have one, but it's really important. Or you look on the packages. Now we're going to sort of give an idea. So like cheese, we like cheese, but I got to regulate my cheese and my dairy. We know that cheese is a constipator. If you're not getting enough fiber, you're going to end up sitting on that toilet for a while trying to get everything out. So we got to make sure that we understand what we're eating and how much of it we're eating. We're back on the how now. What, where, when, why, how. We're on the how. How much are we eating? So we want to be able to do that. For example, this here is just a piece of Colby cheese. I think it's called Colby cheese. Excuse me. So this here, this little tiny piece, and it's not very thick. But I went and weighed this on the scale because it's an ounce. So that's enough for a day for a lady or a man. Now, when we go to put it on a taco or a salad or whatever, are we putting, look at pizzas. No wonder pizzas are so fattening and really bad. All the salt, all the fat, all the sugar, all the bread, the complex carbohydrates. Remember, all that turns into sugar. So we want to see that what we're eating. So if you were to go to the grocery store and you were to buy single individuals, you're like, if you're really trying to watch everything, it's a little more expensive. But if you're busy and you're working and you don't have time to sit there and weigh everything out, you go and you want to buy cheese, buy it in the little individual packs. That's actually 1 ounce. One of those is 1 ounce. Why do I know that? Because I read the labels or I go ahead and I weigh it. But I know that that's 1 ounce because it says 1 ounce. So I might have one of those with my salad that day. Or I might cut it up and put it on top of the salad. Something like that. So it's really, really important to get back to the basics of your plates, of your glasses, even your silverware, what size you're wearing, or what size you're wearing, what size you're using, and that kind of thing. Because we got to get back to where we can actually get to the roots of the problem of our eating, and we have to be able to know how to change it and how to gradually change it. And so that's what we do. And I don't think I have, I'm trying to think. No, this is the book that I had out on the market way back in the day that I had written. But I think that's pretty much it for today. So let's recap from last week. Last week we talked about eating clean. Last week we talked about in the basics of food and what it does, and keeps us actually our moods and everything can change to foods and everything like that. We also talked about grocery store basics. And then we talked about how many meals. And tonight we talked more about how many meals a day we should eat. So hopefully this is helpful. This is week 3. And then next week, we're going to talk even more in depth of the basics of maybe a little bit more about the complex carbohydrates, proteins. I do have videos on proteins. I do have video on meals. I do have videos on complex carbohydrates. If you, again, if you just tuned in, just go to my website on, I was going to say www. Boy, does that tell me I'm getting old. To getbalance2020.com. On the top, there's the YouTube channel. You can click on that and you'll see all the videos there. Just click on what resonates with you for your mind. There's one section for mind, nutrition, and spirit. So they all come together. So again, if you haven't seen the April 1 and 2 of nutrition, go ahead and look at that. But mind is really important to put them all together. So if you have time, they're about 30 minutes long. I don't want to do them any longer than that because then everybody gets bored and I'm boring to listen to anyway. But anyway, so that's what that's about. I also have Facebook, as some of you know. They're on the Facebook. So please come and join Facebook. I like to put inspirational motivation things on there daily and try to keep it up. And then I sometimes come on live like I did tonight. And then I have Instagram, and that tells you on the website, it tells you how to go to all those. But I love to get feedback. I love to hear your comments, your questions. And if you want one-on-one, if you go on my website, you can click on the corner there. It says appointments and programs. You can read about the programs. Otherwise, everything is free. You don't have to do one-on-one. Everything as far as the videos and what I'm doing is free. And you can feel free to email me, text me, whatever, and we'll discuss one-on-one what your issues are as far as what you need to learn to do to get to your purpose and your goal and get your life balanced. Because without mind, body, and soul, if you eliminate one of those, then you're not living a balanced lifestyle. So you guys have a good night. It is nighttime, and I just wanted to come on and get this done because I'm in the mood to do some videos. All right, you guys, have a good rest of the week. Who was on? There it says appointments and programs. You can read about that. You're not living a balanced lifestyle. So you guys have a good night. It is